Hello and welcome to this Micro Focus Service Desk video tutorial discussing the migration of Micro Focus Service Desk along with the demonstration migrating the Service Desk from version 7.4 to 7.5. Regarding the Micro Focus Service Desk upgrade and migration, items to be aware of are the Micro Focus Service Desk version 7.5 supports an appliance model only. So if you have an appliance in place, this will be the natural transition to upgrade to the latest version 7.5 appliance. If you have an OS, either Linux or Windows, where Service Desk application was installed, this older version of Service Desk will be migrated to the latest version 7.5 appliance model. Service Desk migrations can only be done in 2 version increments. So if you're currently on version 7.3 or 7.4, then you can migrate directly to version 7.5. If you're on older versions, then you need to strategize the migration path. For instance, if you're on version 7.1, you can upgrade to version 7.3 and then to 7.5. If you're on an even older version, let's say 7.03, then the highest increment you can upgrade to is version 7.2, and then to 7.4, and following that, version 7.5. Also, be sure to have backups of the system, database, certificates, and if you have banners or made modifications to Tomcat or Java, back up those related files as well. These are all mentioned in the documentation. Some reminders might be to verify the system requirements and the database requirements prior to starting. So as you do each step, you're within support. The upgrade will upgrade the database schema and then the system files. It will not upgrade or migrate the network and DNS settings, so please note down those settings, and these will be changed to the original IP address and DNS name at the end of the migration. Be sure to double check your external system communications with connections such as email, LDAP, and ZenWorks if applicable. Finally, midway, the older appliance or server will be decommissioned. Regarding the Micro Focus Service Desk appliance model, it has a few advantages. One would be a standard migration path, easy for the migration from one version to the next. OS updates are made easy through the online updates process from the administration console, and it's schedulable. The ability for backups with snapshots before upgrades, minimizing prep time before upgrades. And the internal database backup can be performed directly from the administration console. And remember, with an appliance, there is no charge for operating system licenses. There's a faster product release because enhancements and testing are done on a single platform instead of multiple platforms. The appliance model has advantages in the security arena as well, because it is an appliance with streamlined coding specifically for Service Desk product. You don't have to worry about closing ports or turning off unneeded services. And with the online updates, your operating system won't get unnecessary patches. And internal certificates is the standard and built into the process now. During the pre-deployment task, again, you'll back up the database, back up the server, and if you're on a VM, a snapshot is good, but it's always best to have the snapshot of the powered down device. So if the database is down and or the server is down, it's best to do a snapshot when it's actually powered off instead of when it's running. And then backup or note changes to the following before the upgrade: the customized banners, the customized CSS files, Tomcat server, Web XML and Server XML, Java, the Catalina SH file, and the SSL certificates and keys. And remember, the files above will be overwritten during the upgrade. So make sure you see the Service Desk installation guide or documentation for the location of those files so you can manually copy them. After the migration, post-deployment tasks are to decommission the old appliance, modify network and DNS settings and host name, external system communications, double-checking those. Those would entail the LDAP and email and ZenWorks integration. And then restore, if applicable, any of the customized banners, the CSS files, Tomcat or Java files, and SSL certificates. Some resources that might help is the Micro Focus Service Desk documentation site, the Micro Focus Service Desk public forum. Again, there's a YouTube channel for Micro Focus Service Desk, and Micro Focus Ideas portal for Service Desk, and the Micro Focus Service Desk version 7 cookbook, which entails all reminders and processes and links to those videos and documentation as needed. That's TID 7021281. For additional resources and debug needs to be set or logs that you might need, then TID 7017045 has the information in order to make those changes. As Service Desk has developed to the Appliance model, some commands and directory structures have shifted to the Appliance model standard. Those are listed here depending on the current version you have in place. Or you can refer to TID 7018199. Let's go ahead and have a walkthrough of that demonstration. Now in this quick walkthrough, we have a Micro Focus Service Desk version 7.4 with an external database on MS SQL. We have a couple of LDAP servers, one AD and one eDirectory, along with the store being configured and so forth. Let's walk through and see what we have on this particular Service Desk setup. So we log in as a user. You can see that there's some tickets here. Let's go ahead and log out and log in as an admin, and we can see that our setup email's all set up. We have our LDAP. We can test and see that those are good on both eDirectory and on Active Directory. We can look at our database. You can see an SQL server, IP address 230. Our licenses, we're at 7.4. This particular license is the ITIL version, so it has the ITIL advanced version of Service Desk. And then we have the AMI settings here, as well as ZenWorks. And if we're going to configure the store, if we wanted to test, we can see we have connection here for the user to talk to ZenWorks. And oh, we didn't look at the store under Mr. Kent. We have the store set up. We have store items. And if we were to log in as a user, we can see those items in the store. Okay, so it's fully functional. We have our ZenWorks system here. And you can see that in the ZenWorks system is 2017 Update 2. And we have workstations, bundles, policies, and stuff installed. So we'll go over to the particulars on the migration. And we can see that you can only go 2 at a time. Version upgrades from 7.3 or 7.4 to 7.5. If you're at 7.2 or below, you'd have to go to either 7.3 or 7.4 and then go to 5. You want to make sure you have your resource directory on your 7.5, which will be a VA storage volume. If we look at the cookbook, which is TID 7021281, you can see some reminders going to version 7.5. The downloads, the links to that, also the matrix guide for version 7.5, so you can make sure all your systems are compatible. And preparing to upgrade. Again, the version 7.5 only has an appliance mode. So if you're currently running an OS like a Linux or Windows OS with Service Desk installed, you'll be migrating to version 7.5 to an appliance model. And reminders of doing customized banners, CSS files, Tomcat, Java, certificates, and so forth. So this TID is very helpful in those aspects. So a good resource there. So let's go over, we can see we have our 7.4 appliance. If we look at our first step in the pre-migration, we want to make sure stop the Service Desk services on the older appliance. We need the database running, which is running on an external database server, so that's fine. If you have an internal database, you also want to make sure that you only stop the application services, not the whole appliance. So we'll go over to our appliance. We'll stop the Micro Focus Service Desk services. Right there, the application services. We'll stop. And when we do the migration, we'll be able to pull from this device. Now we have our 7.5 OVA installed. We also have the additional hard disk, which is required on the appliance model for version 7.5. Makes it easier in future to do upgrades. We're going to go ahead and power on this machine. Minimum is 20 gigabytes on that particular volume. And while we're waiting, you can see here on the pre-migrate stages, whether it's the appliance or the standalone, the pre-migrate stages tells you to make sure you have backups. Make sure you have backups of banners and so forth. And then the appliance has some particulars, whether you've changed the web XML or server XML, the Java. Make sure you have your certificates, and your DNS won't be migrated, the network or DNS. So afterwards, you reconfigure that on the new 7.5 appliance, so it can talk to the same URL. We'll go ahead and accept the appliance license agreement. Put in our passwords for the root. And then we have a Service Desk admin for the administration console for Service Desk, not the console that we use as web services for the Service Desk, but the administrator console. And we'll change this over to USA, and we'll go Denver. We'll put in the host name, which is a temporary because we'll change that in the end. We got 192, 168, 177. If we look on our 7.4 appliance, you can see it was 192, 168, 1.74. We'll put our 7 appliance on the same subnet, 1.77 let's say, and put in all the particulars for the network to run. Now it'll search for that volume to be able to load the new Service Desk volume, the secondary volume, with all the Service Desk appliance application. And there it is, the 50 gigabyte additional volume, which is required. Again, minimum 20 gigabytes on that particular volume. While we're waiting on that, we can see on our other appliances, we have our MSSQL with MFSD as the instance. We have our e-directory set up, so we have all of our groups for our customers, technicians, and so forth, as well as an active directory, technicians, supervisors, and so forth. So with the ITIL version, you can do federation, and that's what we're doing on this particular one. So now this is up, we're going to go to this URL, 192.168.77:9443. Go ahead and add our exception and log in as SDadmin with the password we put in when we installed the 7.5 appliance. This is your administration console for the appliance itself. If you're currently running on an OS, obviously the OS has its utilities to see the network and the storage and services and firewall and stuff. This is how you do it on the appliance. So we are going to first go to migration, and we're going to put in the IP address of the 7.4 version 7.4 with the password, and we're going to select migrate. Notice up here migration is in progress. So it's extracting things, it's pulling from this version 7.4 server, including where the database resides, and we see that the migration is complete. So now we can go over to Service Desk to open up that link. notice the edit, SQL Server, the database 230, IP address 1433 for the port, MFSD, SA, and the password that we had configured in there before. If we select test, we can see that we have successfully connected to the database. If we select advanced, you can then create drop. That's if it's a new install or you're removing things, or you can do your upgrade. The only difference from an appliance with an embedded database and one with an external database is this spot right here. Once you get to this point, you'll see 127.0.0.1 in the server host with a consequenting port with Postgres, and then all the database name, username that's pulled from the 7.4 with the embedded database. But that's really the only difference between the two with an embedded or a external database. Let's go ahead and select upgrade, and it'll tell you make sure you backed up your database, ensure your operating system is set to default locale, and go ahead and click upgrade. It'll do the schema, and then it'll go ahead and finish with the upgrade, and it's successfully upgraded. If we select close now, power off the appliance, the 7.4 appliance, and we'll do a 6 with a 2 for shutdown. And our 7.5 is still up. Now if we log in, we can see our customers and users are still here. We can see under our setup, we have our email. We have our licenses now is at 7.5. The database shows that it successfully converted to 7.5. This particular screen will not go away until we restart the services. And I'll show you that in a moment. Our LDAP, both of them are there. Let's go ahead and we can try and test. Make sure it's connecting. It is connecting. We can go and see our AMI. We can see our ZenWorks. Check the store out. Test that. So we have good connections between all of our external services and our system for Service Desk. So now if we go and restart services, we're now back at the administration console for version 7.5. If we restart services, select restart service, do Service Desk restart. And in a minute, this one will come up to the login screen. There we are. So if I log in as eBrock, which is a customer, you can see I have 2 open requests. We have the store available to us. We have my requests. Log out, log in is C-Kent. We can see that he's able to do his store setup, run reports, knowledge base for his roles. Now the only thing left is to go here and go to our network. With the 7.4 down, we can now change the host name to the 7.4, and we can change the IP address, and everything should come out just fine. So if we change the NIC to 7.4 and we select OK, it does warn you that application services need to be reset. We'll hit OK to continue, saving the network configuration. And by default, the version 7.5 is automatically running HTTPS. While that's saving, we can go back to our migration, which we did these steps. We went and connected to the database, powered off the old Service Desk appliance, and then the post-migration, if you needed to restore your banners, if you had made adjustments to your Tomcat, restore those files, as well as Java, and make sure your SSL certificates are in place, and then reconfigure the network settings. You can see 7.4 is coming up, and now 7.5 is SD admin. Now you know it's a service desk admin. In your backup, running. Again, if we wanted to see if service desk is running, we can and it will have to be on 7.4. And we'll go ahead and log in again. Everything should be in order. And we're now back to the same portal URL that we had before. And we're at version 7.5. Of course, restore any of those banners and so forth. We didn't have any, so we won't display that at this time. And this concludes the walkthrough for the Micro Focus Service Desk upgrade from version 7.4 with an external database to version 7.5. In summary, we covered the migration pre-deployment tasks, processes, and post-deployment tasks, as well as references and debug information, along with showing you a video demonstration of how we upgrade a version 7.4 system to version 7.5 appliance. This concludes this Micro Focus Service Desk video tutorial discussing the migration of the Micro Focus Service Desk, along with the demonstration migrating Micro Focus Service Desk from version 7.4 to version 7.5.